Trump effortlessly handles hostile questions at Black Journalists Conference in Chicago. And I think this segment, we talked about it last night on Timcast IRL, but it needs to be brought back up because there is some context that needs to be said as it pertains to Donald Trump's appearance at the National Association of Black Journalists. I want to start by playing the opening clip. Now, I really do recommend, I think it was about 40 minutes long. Recommend everybody listen to the full thing. I have not yet listened to the full thing. I've listened to portions of it. And apparently it's so good. Trump doesn't pander. He has no problem pushing back, insulting people, and I respect it. Not everybody will. Some people want to be pandered to. In this, the opening question insults Trump, and there's a lot of context as to why Trump responds the way he does. And there's very important context. You need to understand Trump is completely correct. These people were horribly rude to him, and it goes beyond just the question. So I will stress this again. I'm going to play the opening question for you. Trump gets offended by it and then speaks, but I'm going to explain to you exactly why Donald Trump was correct and give you the context as to his answer. Because a lot of people are like, oh, Trump should have responded to the question. He should have used the opportunity. No. We're going to play the clip and listen to this.
It's not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from. You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys. You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist. You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort. So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
Well, first of all, I don't think I've ever been asked a question in such a horrible manner. First question. You don't even say, hello, how are you?
Some people are laughing,
ABC?
they're gasping.
I think they're a fake news network, a terrible network. And
they're wooing, like, woo!
I think it's disgraceful that I came here in good spirit. I love the black population of this country. I've done so much for the black population of this country.
Clapping.
Including employment, including opportunity zones with Senator Tim Scott of South Carolina, which is one of the greatest programs ever for black workers and black entrepreneurs. I've done so much, and and I say this, historically black colleges and universities were out of money. They were stone cold broke, and I saved them, and I gave them long-term financing, and nobody else was doing it. I think it's a very rude introduction. I don't know exactly why you would do something like that. And let me go a step further. I was invited here, and I was told my opponent, whether it was Biden or Kamala, I was told my opponent was going to be here. It turned out my opponent isn't here. You invited me under false pretense. And then you said you can't do it with Zoom. Well, where's Zoom? She's going to do it with Zoom, and she's not coming. And then you were half an hour late. Just so we understand, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working or something was wrong.
Mr. President, I would love if you can answer the question on your rhetoric and why you believe that black voters should trust you with another 4 years.
I have been the best president for the black population since Abraham Lincoln. That's my answer.
Better than President Johnson, who signed the Voting Rights Act?
And for you to start off a question and answer period, especially when you're 35 minutes late because you couldn't get your equipment to work in such a hostile manner, I think it's a disgrace.
So Donald Trump has impressed a lot of people. I mean, I'm not going to speak for the black population. I don't know. How I see it is I respect that he's not going to try and pander like, oh, I'm so sorry. But let me give you the context here. Donald Trump was supposed to appear at the National Association of Black Journalists with Joe Biden. They were both going to be there, and it was going to be almost like a debate. Biden, of course, is gone, doesn't come. Then Kamala, they say she's going to come. And then it doesn't happen. So it's nothing. Not a debate, just Donald Trump showing up. They can't get their equipment to work. They're a half an hour late, and Donald Trump stayed. I would not have. I got to tell you guys. I would not have. Not only that, but as Trump pointed out, the greater context, they said it's not possible to do this over the internet. We want to do this in person. And he says, okay, Kamala Harris is now apparently going to satellite call in to the NABJ, but they told Trump he couldn't do it. So I want you to understand this. I have a rule in business, and maybe you don't have this rule. Maybe the rule that I will tell you now is simply just about power dynamics in negotiating process in business. If I set a deadline, if we have a schedule, and I will give you 5 minutes, because I approach this logically. People make mistakes, pencils heavy erasers, but I give you 5 minutes. If we are supposed to be set up at 9:58 a.m., so prior to this, you're setting up, you're getting microphones ready, everything's supposed to be working. At 10 a.m., I'm going to be sitting down in front of a bunch of people talking. If by 10 a.m. you have not sorted out, I will go to them and say, 5 more minutes, and I'm going to leave. Now, hold on. I'm not unreasonable. If they say it might take us 7 to 10 minutes, I'll say, okay, I'll give you 10. In most instances, when I have a business phone call or a meeting, if I show up to a restaurant and I sit down and it's a 10 a.m. brunch meeting or something, 10 a.m. comes around, nobody's there, I say, okay, the countdown begins. Because if you don't have the time to commit, then neither do I. I understand pencils heavy erasers. That's why if I'm supposed to meet someone in person at 10 a.m. and I get a phone call and they say, I'm really sorry, I'm running late. So sorry about this. Traffic, I will be there as soon as I can. I say, okay. And then I will wait 10 minutes. Just try to be reasonable. But I tell you, most of the time, I'll have someone say, hey, we're going to do a meeting at noon. And I'll say, you got it. At 12:05, phone's back on silent. I'm back to work. I'll explain why. I record, we do this show 2 hours in the morning, which before I would record throughout the morning with different segments, but now I'm doing the live show, which increases the amount of recording time from an hour 20 to 2 hours. After this, we've got other shooting schedule. I've got to exercise. I've got to eat. Very little time in the day. We're working on all these projects. The idea that I have time to spare is just not existent. Now imagine Donald Trump. That's just my context. Call me a dick. Call me whatever you want. I think this works out well for me, but by all means, call me a dick. Donald Trump, front runner for the presidency, has places to be, has Secret Service on American taxpayer dime, and agrees to come to this event. And they're a half an hour late. They lied to him about his opponent being there. They're going to let her zoom in, and they can't get it to work. But Trump stayed. And did Trump complain? No. So you know what I would have said? First question, if it were me, if Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, if I invited Kamala Harris to Timcast IRL, who I do not like, I think she's a bad person, got a lot of complaints about her and the things she said, all that and more. If I invited Kamala Harris to Timcast IRL and I said, Trump will be here, it'll be a huge show. And she shows up and she's like, okay, what's the plan? I say, I'm so sorry. Donald Trump has canceled on us. But if you still want to do the show, we've got a seat right here for you, and we will give you the time to speak your mind. And then the cameras break. And she's sitting here for a half an hour. And then finally, we're good to go, we're live. The last thing I'm going to do is insult her right off the bat. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, Madam Vice President, obviously I have very strong disagreements with you. I've said disparaging things about you in the past, but I want to thank you and offer my respect for you dealing with our problems. That was our fault, and I respect it. That's what they should have said to Donald Trump. And that's important context, I think. I mean, it's like a lot of people are acting like Trump was bad to be hostile in this way, but to be as gracious as he was with his time and energy, and then to open up by insulting him. And here's the important thing to consider. Let's play these opening statements again.
Not true. You have told 4 congresswomen of color who were American citizens to go back to where they came from.
And that is a statement that requires tremendous context. He's basically saying you've got, and I don't think he's saying, I don't think he referred to all 4 of them. I think he was talking about specifically Ilhan Omar. And he was saying something to the effect of, you don't like it here, you don't like the things that we do, there is a home country that you could have stayed in. The point is not to say leave. The point is to say it's clearly better here. But let's carry on. And for that matter, by all means, tell Trump he was wrong to have said it, but to open this way.
You have used words like animal and rabbit to describe black district attorneys.
So what? So what? Am I immune to being criticized or insulted because of my racial background? That's an absurdity. Trump, my response, if I were Trump, was to say, is there a reason why I'm not allowed to insult someone based on because of their race? Like, I'm not going to insult someone based on their race, but is there this rule that says you're allowed to be a bad person and I'm no longer allowed to criticize you because you are a certain racial background? That's an absurdity. I don't care if you give me a guy who's white, you give me a guy who's black, or give me a guy who's Asian and a guy who's Hispanic, and they all come into my house at the same time and steal my TV, I'm going to call all of them animals. And then you're going to come and be like, how dare you call the black man an animal? I'm like, I called the white guy, the Asian guy, the Mexican guy too. I don't care. You're a criminal. You're a criminal. That's what Trump should have said.
You've attacked black journalists, calling them a loser, saying the questions that they ask are, quote, stupid and racist.
Now, you see what she's doing here? She's saying you attacked black people. No, Trump insulted bad journalists. This idea that you're allowed to be, this is the diversity argument. This is the diversity hire argument. You see what they're saying? You're not allowed to criticize someone if they're black. Like, but what if they're bad at driving cars? Like, what if I hire a race car driver who's bad at it? Should I not be able to say, like, you're a terrible driver? How dare you call a black driver terrible? Well, I don't care about your race, dude. You don't get special protections from criticism. Is that the world that they want to live in?
You've had dinner with a white supremacist at your Mar-a-Lago resort,
who Kanye West invited and Trump didn't know. Come on, spare me. It's ridiculous.
So my question, sir, now that you are asking black supporters to vote for you, why should black voters trust you after you have used language like that?
And then it all comes down to the second statement where Trump is asked about black jobs. And I don't know if they have the video. I think this is it right here. Let me play this clip for you. This is on Post Millennial's website.
I mean, it is not lost on us how to the lines of race come here. What is your message today?
My message is to stop people from invading our country that are taking, frankly, a lot of problems with it. But one of the big problems, and a lot of the journalists in this room I know and I have great respect for, a lot of the journalists in this room are black. I will tell you that coming.
It's so good. I don't know if that was intentional. I don't think it was. But Trump said a lot of the journalists in here are black. He's at the National Association of Black Journalists.
From the border.
So they all start laughing.
Are millions and millions of people that happen to be taking black jobs. You had the best.
What exactly is a black job, sir?
A black job is anybody that has a job. That's what it is.
I would respond with, what's a black journalist? And one of the great things Trump did was she said, the lady asked Trump, you called Kamala a diversity hire, and he goes, define it. She goes, I did. And he goes like, no, define what diversity, equity, inclusion is. And she's like, I said it. It's diversity, equity, inclusion. And he's like, define it. And she's like, I did. She didn't. But more to the point, she says, what's a black job? I would just go, what's a black journalist? A journalist who's black. Okay, a black job is a job held by a black person. What are you saying? Like, what is this? You want to be offended at everything for no reason, dude. I like how Trump performed here, and maybe that's not good politics. Whatever. The issue at hand is Donald Trump's not going to earn the votes of most of these people. Many of them, and I'm talking about journalists. But also, Trump doesn't poll well with the black community, the black population. They're saying maybe he's at 24%. I doubt it. But Trump's thinking, I'm going to go talk to him. And you know, I respect, he didn't go there and put on a fake accent. He didn't go on there and pander and say, you're completely right. Wow, I shouldn't have done that. And he just said, what? Don't talk to me like that. This guy gave them the time of day. And for what? He didn't know it to them. I respect Trump. I like his attitude. I like that he basically says, you don't get special treatment based on race. Thank you and have a nice day. He's going to insult you if you're a white guy. He's going to insult you if you're a black guy. Because Donald Trump is an equal opportunity hater. When he needs to be. And he's a very nice guy. Now, I will tell you this. As many of you know, I am a second-generation mixed-race individual. Yes. And that Donald Trump had dinner with a white supremacist, and boy, was I so upset. I could not believe it. I was banging the table screaming, ooh, Donald Trump. And so I interviewed him. And I interviewed him, and Trump said I was great, and he really enjoyed it, and he was looking forward to a longer-form interview in the future. If we organize it, we could set it up. And I tell you why. It's because when I interviewed Trump, I respected the things he had done that were positive. I viewed Donald Trump as a net positive president during his time. And when I was at the Libertarian Convention, there were key questions that we were focused on pertaining to Julian Assange. We were talking about, I think the big questions were, of course, war, Julian Assange. And when I talked to a bunch of these libertarian guys who do not like Donald Trump, I said to them, I really think it's important we highlight the North Korea, the crossing of the DMZ by Donald Trump. And the libertarian guys all said that was actually one of the best things he had done. I agree with the libertarian guys. Donald Trump crossed the demilitarized zone into North Korea with no security detail in an effort to bring peace. Do whatever you say. It was because of his ego. I don't care. He did it. I asked him about it. Trump appreciated being asked questions like that. But I'll tell you why I asked it. It's not to butter him up. It's because he did it. And more people need to know he did. If we want to encourage good behavior, we highlight the good behavior and say, this is good. And I pushed him on Julian Assange. Will you pardon him? And Julian Assange is now free. I'm glad the narrative got out there. And I'm glad it was, for whatever reason, whoever did it, it happened here. And I think the Biden administration made the move to release Julian Assange for two possible reasons. The first, they wanted to undermine Trump's talking point that he would consider pardoning Julian Assange. More importantly, though, I think they wanted to make sure that Donald Trump could not leverage intelligence and tell Julian Assange, we'll give you a pardon, but you got to give me some information. They wanted to get Julian Assange out of there before Trump could get in because they're worried he's going to win. But I respect it, man. Libby Emmons said a black journalist attacked Trump for saying black jobs at a black journalist conference. You can't make it up. Yeah, they're just trying to be mad. They're trying to be mad about it. Now, I do think conservatives are making a big mistake with the Kamala. Well, maybe not. Maybe not. A lot of people are saying that Kamala Harris was Indian, but now she's black. And the left response is, yeah, she's biracial. Well, I'll tell you this. Factually, I would say that conservatives are wrong in attacking Kamala Harris because she's talked about being Indian, but now she's black. However, politically, it probably plays well. You know, so I can't tell them that they're politically wrong to do it. Kamala Harris has a video with Mindy Kaling. People are like, Tim, show the video with Mindy Kaling. And Mindy Kaling and her are cooking. And she's like, I'm Indian. You're Indian. Let's cook food. It's like, okay. And then everyone's like, aha, see, she's not black. She's Indian. Like, well, she's both. And she's certainly going to entertain both. So my view of this is, I don't care. Like, I get that some people are saying Kamala isn't actually black, that she's Indian, and that her family were Jamaican by nationality, but were part of the British, colonies. They weren't actually Jamaican black. I don't care. I think the political play from the right may actually work because what they're saying to many people in the black community, that she never embraced this until it became politically advantageous. And the narrative long espoused was that she was actually focused on her Indian heritage. As to she went cooking with Mindy Kaling thing, and I'm like, dude, let me tell you, I eat cheeseburgers, okay? I'll have a shepherd's pie. I will enjoy tea and crumpets. I love the British breakfast with the beans, the mushrooms, the tomato, the blood pudding. I also like bulgogi. And it would be like the stupidest thing if there was a video of me and I'm like cooking some bratwurst or something. I'm also part German and British. And then everyone's like, look, Tim's acting white. And then another video, I was like, oh, bulgogi. My mom used to make that when I was little. And then they're like, aha, he's only pretending to be Korean because he was white before. And it's like, I am both. I don't care about Kamala Harris and entertaining Indian food and also being black. That being said, politically, it may actually work. So, far be it for me to say, don't play the game, I guess. There's a strong possibility there's going to be a lot of people in the black community who are thinking she's just deciding to play up this identity right now to pander, and she didn't do it before. And they're like, no, she always identified as black. She did. I agree with that. But I think the political play is there's going to be a lot of people being like, as someone who is biracial, she plays whichever card she needs, so she doesn't fully relate to someone. This is something the left says. When you pass, you have a choice, whereas people who don't pass do not have a choice. The argument made by the left in terms of identity politics is that there are people who are black discernibly and they can't choose otherwise. And they experience the world as a black person. Kamala Harris is not one of these people. She could come out and be like, no, I'm Indian actually. And then she could pass. That may actually play. Whatever, though. Shout out to Donald Trump for actually going into hostile territory with journalists who are being rude to him. I respect him for doing it. I like this guy. Far from perfect. There's better candidates. I don't know that Vivek is as funny as Trump. but Vivek's a good guy. And we'll see where things go with 2028. I wonder what's going to be. It's J.D. Vance. And, I thought maybe like Vance Ramaswamy, but Vivek's not a VP kind of guy. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. Next segment will be coming up at 6 p.m. on this channel. For the rest of you watching live, we'll grab your super chat. So super chat now. Follow me on X at Timcast and Instagram. And also go to timcast.com, click join us, become a member, and support our work directly. But next segment will be up soon, and we'll see you all then.